In Bike Adventure 2024, there were 3 things which actually saved my butt in extremely high and humid conditions for 3 to 4 hour stage races daily, 4 days in a row. And those 3 things, 1, 2, and 3. Are you curious what those things are? To begin from early beginnings, I sweat like a lot. From time to time I place videos in my stories where I just push my helmet and it just stream goes out from it right away. Carlos Portis noticed that and he said,
"Listen, I have one product which you have to try."
No, it's not his product, but he tried it, he loved it, and he suggested me to do so. Basically, Electrolyte, which has a lot of salt, and they help quite a lot for sweaty persons as well as those who lost a lot of salt and minerals. That potentially could help with muscle cramps as well. I wouldn't be me if I wouldn't just jump into the field and try it, because in the past I've been using sponsor electrolytes and they are fine except the fact that they are too sweet for me. And even though you could potentially use smaller piece of a tablet, it kind of loses the purpose of its functionality, so it's like 50-50 whether it's good or not. So I made a test order, bought a few types of electrolytes to just see what they taste like, because taste is one of the most important things. And also tried a few other products because I knew that Bike Adventure is upcoming and I might need something else which I don't have. So that will cover all of those 3 things, which basically allowed me to survive that heat, humidity, and general a lot of intense riding. First, it's electrolyte tablets. It's not sponsored. I was just extremely happy how they taste and I don't know, maybe even allow you to perform. In general, they have 3 offerings from tablets, which 1500 are the strongest. I also tested 1000 ones, and there's the lightest version. The main reason why I love those is because they have neutral taste. Yes, there is some taste, but I can't even distinguish what type of it is. And the other is the size of the tablet. It's a lot, and once we make, the magic happen, it also becomes with the bubbles a bit, so that's very refreshing, especially when it's hot. So the taste is good, and usually I prefer to have 2 bottles during the race, where in one I have some sort of carbohydrates. Usually I use a sponsor or competition, and the other is usually just water, because I hate the sweet taste or anything in regards. Now the taste is just good. One consideration, like with any tablets which had to dilute in the water, you should leave this pop open until it fully digests in the water. That's crucial thing in order not to explode your bottles and the valve itself. I kind of forgot to mention what manufacturer does that, so it's Precision Fuel and Hydration. One funny thing is that once I made that initial order, they also added like a note, personal touch, which usually is better than nothing. So they took time to write the personal note, which is nice. I believe that such personal touches always adds a bit more to your end customer. So in case you have eShop, add those extra notes for your product and you will see that the customers will appreciate that. Well, at least if the customers are like me. And that comes down to the second point which helped me in Bike Adventure, which is the nutrition. So when the race is more than 3 hours, usually it's very good to have something to chew in your mouth, just to make that digestion system working and not to starve to death only based on the gel. So that works for me, maybe it doesn't work for others, and that's fine. You have to testify what works for you and what not. I realized that in early 2020, when it was my first stage race in Alpentora, I've been using Morton gels and I was dying towards the end of the stages. And then the second time when I realized that chewing is essential, when it was APE 100 in Latvia, where we go for 100 apparently, and it's quite hard and demanding race course which requires more than 5 hours. And during that time frame I realized that chewing something is crucial, so I take some raisins at that time. Whenever now I go to longer races, I know that I need something to chew. Last year in Hania I tried sponsor chews, which are basically gels, like Haribo, but just sponsor made. They were fine, but they were hard to chew. At the same time, the package is not as good as it could be. Technically you could attach those gels somewhere on the handlebar or on the frame, but that just adds another level of complexity to deal with that items. If it's rainy, if it's dirty, you get an idea. I took some test packages also from Precision Fuel where it is carb chews. They have kind of test package where you can try the original taste and mint and lemon. So I did that. The cost was around 60 euros or so for 30 of those things, so it's quite expensive in a sense. What it's like and why I kind of could recommend it for you. The package itself consists from 2 gels, which are basically square shaped. There is a paper plate on which they are added. I don't know what they are adding on top of those gels, but they are like with powder of some sort, so they don't stick too much. Ideally, of course, I would recommend to at least peel the package and put it in the pocket open, because that just simplifies your life later down the road. And even I did that, it was a few times quite difficult to remove them from it. So I will just show you the original one. That was mint and lemon taste. Pretty good, both of them. And the original, I don't know what the taste it is, but it's also good. And on this you can see that powder even better. So the reason why those were quite good is you get to choose something during the race course. You don't have to use the food points where you don't necessarily know what you will get, and at the same time they're chewable. So with that said, they don't stick in your mouth, it's easy to swallow and don't mess with your mouth too much. Can't recommend something like that enough for long duration races. And you can test why. For you, maybe some bar would be good enough. I don't like chewing them personally, so that's why I choose something more pre-made rather than raw. So as with everything, you have to test on your own and figure out what works best for you. But whenever race duration is longer, don't rely only on gels, and I'm not even talking that you should consume a lot of liquids during that, but even if you use carbohydrates in the bottles, it's still not the same as the actual texture in your mouth. Keep that in mind. And the last thing which saved my butt was the bottles, which were given by my wife, and funny enough, those bottles had those tabs as well inside. It was like so refreshing to get those. Even though on the race days I stopped on every second and third food points, I filled both bottles because I didn't care whether it will be heavy for me or the finish is not far away. I knew that I am going to consume them because it was 30 degrees, humid, and in general very tough time.
Iso. To this one. Thanks. Not the best idea to put both bottles before the climb.
Even in those times when I refilled the bottles, I still took that extra bottle with Precision Nutrition tabs inside, and it was like refreshing. So thanks to my wife for helping me on that.
Honeringa. My wife, lucky me.
Even though sometimes I think that what position I'm fighting for, that someone would have to give me the bottle, but at the same time it just adds more pleasure in the overall experience. So in the end of the day, we most likely doing that not to suffer but to enjoy. Enjoy and suffer can be almost placed on the single pan, because it's kind of relate. Be sure to check full on board from Bike Adventure, it's really special in a sense. And it's worth mentioning that in the end of the day I finished in top 20. Overall, where in total there was more than 100 participants. For me it's kind of achievement when you go faster on the downhills than locals do. So are we going to meet the next stage races?